Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How Grief is Impacting Your Clients. My name is Katie Ressler. I'm a transformative grief guide, licensed counselor, author of the book, The New Face of Grief, and creator of the Legacy Growth Certification Program. I am welcomed today by Paulina. And Paulina, you're going to be teaching us about community and women and mind-body connection and all the ways that you work with your clients and how we start to see hidden grief show up. Even though in the beginning we might come to a circle or a group for one thing, and ultimately when we have connection, we're able to be authentic and bare our souls and feel some things we've been holding on to. So to start us off, please share with me a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you serve, and where you do it from.
Hi. Oh, it's so nice to be here and speak about these things. Let's see what comes out. So I'm Paulina, and I think it's worth mentioning that my journey started with my own healing and with my own practices. So when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in 2014, it sort of kick-started my healing. And healings is like a really big term for a bit of everything, really. And it made me focus a little bit more on my physical body, because clearly that was just sort of something that was right in front of my face and I couldn't really avoid. It started off with some physical healing with yoga, with yoga mainly. And then it slowly then progressed into, now I'm meditating and I'm focusing on my mental health. And then I am going into spirituality and I can connect more into my inner energy. And this is really, I feel like probably the thing that I apply in my business right now and in the spaces that I hold. So we have a healing community here in Munich, also online, but mainly in Munich, where I serve women mainly. There are also a couple of men that are really there for the same intention, for either coming through yoga, so they're looking for that physical start, or coming through to our women's circles and they're really just looking for that authentic love support without feeling judged. And this is really mainly why people stay, is they feel safe, like you mentioned, they feel safe, they feel part of a community and be able to express themselves authentically while they are working within their own things, because healing can be such an alone journey, and it is really a self-alone process. Nobody can do it for us. People can support us, people can give us some sort of practices and techniques, but really at the end of the day, it's our own work. But to be able to do that while supported with other people who are looking for those deeper connections and maybe not just talking about the weather, then it helps us feel a little bit more seen. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you. So because you kind of work in a variety of ways, what are you finding people are coming to you? What are the key issues they're coming to work on with you?
So it varies, but mainly at the bottom line of it is, which is basically the thing that the people that are staying in here for longer and actually using the community and being part of it, are people who are usually expats. So they're really new to the whole environment. Their whole outer environment changed. And I know from myself, when I moved countries, because I used to live in England and then I moved to Munich, that was probably the next big step in my healing journey, because I was cut off from what I've known, what I went through, what I've experienced, the sort of people, habits, and even just the conditioning of my nervous system and my body. And I was being cut off from it, which is scary, but great at the same time. And that's when the whole healing then started. So people that are coming into my spaces are mainly people who are finding themselves alone in a new country or in a new city, because some of them are Germans, but they just never lived in Munich. So they don't have any family, they don't have any friends here. And even though there is a lot of beautiful meetups, going out for dinner, going out for wine, going out for a lot of different events here in Munich, very often it just ends at that. And very often they don't get to actually deeply connect with somebody and make a long-lasting friendship, which we're all really craving, we're all needing, we all need that little support. So people coming to my spaces are facing that problem of just being alone and wanting something deeper, something more long-term, to have that safety net, to feel safe as they progress in their own healing or in their own journey, but not fully just by themselves or with people that they go to drink wine or dinner with.
So it's kind of like finding their tribe.
Yeah.
Like there's like finding the circles, but like your tribe are the people that you like really do your inner work with, you help support them in their inner work. So I think that's amazing you create that with the circles that you have, the classes that you have, helping people find their tribe. So let's dive into hidden grief, because you and I have had this topic before on your Instagram. So when we're talking about hidden grief, we're not talking about grief just related to death or major loss. We're talking about the grief that shows up in other areas of our life through changing identity, a move like an expat, health issues, even changes in relationship. Grief can come up when a friendship ends or boundaries we need to place with family members that we love, but we just don't need to be so close to them. All of this brings grief. Lately, I've noticed in my circle of clients that I work with, grief is coming up where they don't feel like they are where they thought they'd be by now. And often that leads people to move and shift and transition, which leads to that loneliness and kind of feelings of isolation as well. All of that brings grief. So, Paulina, when you think about the clients that come to you that are part of your tribe and these inner circles, what are you noticing about the types of hidden grief that they're coming to these groups with?
Yeah, no, definitely a move that just brings along a whole load of hidden grief, and just that grieving of maybe a safe job, a safe home, a safe environment, to starting or feeling like you're starting from the beginning, from zero. But having a move, being in a new location, also can activate maybe some grief that we pushed at the bottom of the carpet when we were living somewhere else. Because this is what happened to me, and this is really maybe something I want to highlight in our conversation, that everything I share and everything that I do with my clients, I can only share and do if I've done it to myself and if I've applied it to my own journey. Otherwise, it's just words for words, but no meaning. And this is what happened to me. When I moved, I experienced that hidden grief of like, wow, okay, I need to grieve where I used to be physically, space-wise, to, okay, this is my new home, and I need to somehow work on making this my new home so that it does feel like home for me. And equally, grieving the person that I used to be, because moving is not just a physical move. It's activating or showing up things that we're then maybe feeling safe to explore because we're somewhere else. And naturally, when we're healing or going through different changes in our life, we change. Or more so, maybe we don't change, but we come closer to the true us and to what's really there, but was a little bit hidden from other things that were built up. I like to think of it as like our heart, and then layers of protection were just built around it. And we're slowly peeling off these layers. And sometimes we're only able to peel those layers off if we move. So that move, that physical change, the inner change that happens inside when we start to focus on ourselves, because this is what happens when we're moving and we're somewhere else. We don't have any friends or family or a stable job or home. We have to look inwards a little bit more, because we have to focus on our own selves a little bit more. And usually that shows up with things. Yeah, hoping that answers it.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing you say is that the hidden grief you're noticing is that the people who come to you no longer have those things to sort of hide behind. And now they're having to face not only the transition of the move, but also parts of themselves that they haven't dealt with before. Because honestly, when we are comfortable, we usually escape and avoid, and we have those people we can be around that keep us entertained. And when we're alone and having to face all our feelings and thoughts and really come to terms with, is this what I want for my life? Am I enjoying life right now? Do I like who I am? All those self-reflection questions we don't usually like to have. then we do need a tribe. We do need people around us to normalize the experience. And, you know, as a fellow expat, having a community or a tribe to go to say, oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah, understand. And not to push you through, oh, you'll get over it fast, but to go, this is normal, take your time, I think is essential. And I know that the groups that you create are really about sit in that space. And I've spoken about this several times. Creating sacred space for your hidden grief is how you start to address it and start to grieve. And we often don't do that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's not about pushing things away or again, putting them under the carpet and just forgetting about them, or meeting friends or meeting people where they're just focusing on other things because this thing is too much to focus on. But really, some people are ready for that, and some people are like, no, actually I want to feel bad about this, I want to feel shit about this, and I'm just gonna feel like that. Yeah. And it's so great to have people around me that can also feel shit with me, because I don't need to fake this, I don't need to pretend everything's better.
Isn't it funny how often, I'm sorry, I'm going to close out this real quick, how often we get into this place of, I'm going to, you said like the layers of our identity, but it's like, I'm going to put on this clothing and I'm going to put on this clothing and this sort of like costume and costume and costume, to the point where we just don't even recognize who we are anymore.
Yeah.
And when you start to take off those layers, you have to then face all those different parts of you you've established and developed. And when we go out for that wine night, or we go out for that, you know, whatever sports event, and it doesn't allow us to take off those layers. Again, we're back to, we just sort of like escape and avoid. And yes, it's all enjoyable.
Yeah.
But the people coming to your communities who are really searching for their people are looking for deeper connection, deeper dive, and that safe place to start taking off those layers. And with that, I think what comes, and I find this can bring grief up too, is people giving us honest feedback as to what they're experiencing or seeing. And sometimes we're not used to loving, caring feedback. And it can kick up grief from what we didn't receive in childhood. It can kick up our fear of rejection or failure when somebody really shares, you know, sometimes it can be critical feedback. I know in groups that I've run, I hear people share, you know, well, I noticed this, and even a soft comment like, I noticed this about what you said, that might be, you know, really confronting to them, can lead people to get very defensive because of the wounding that they have around being perfect, presenting themselves as perfect, or whatever it might be. And so what's beautiful about what you create is a reminder that no one is perfect. And you're coming here, and whether it's doing the cacao ceremony, whether it's just having the support and time to talk and journal together, or it's doing the mind body work of yoga, you're creating a space of imperfection is normal and welcomed here. And I think that is beautiful about what you do.
And it's exactly, and thank you for saying that. And it's, what's important is also that it's not forced, right? I'm not a therapist. None of us in our community are therapists. And that support of a therapist, of a professional, is so needed too. But it's like going to the gym once a month is not going to give us results, right? We need to continue doing something. Or recovering from surgery, going to physiotherapy is not going to help us magically recover. We have to do these things on a daily basis. And I feel like this is what our community can provide every person, is that you only do as much as feels comfortable. Something doesn't feel right, you're not ready to dive into that, you just don't. You focus on something else. And some events or some nights will be deeper focused in the work, and sometimes we'll just be like, you know what, let's just eat crap and watch Netflix together. But we're supported by this amazing community that if in the middle of the movie I remind myself of something and I need to share it out, I know you're going to understand, and I know I'm going to feel heard. I
think that's beautiful. Thank you for what you do. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
How are you finding, and I know what you do is quite unique, so it isn't fully just yoga. It's just, you know, sacred ceremonies or circles. It's really a combination of all of it. other practitioners that you find that are doing the yoga thing or the circle thing, or maybe trying to find a combination as well, what are they lacking in education around hidden grief that would support them if they start to learn these things so that they can help their tribe and community that they want to build?
I'm going to try to answer this in a very soft and gentle way, because this is a question I can talk for 2 hours or even longer about, because it's something I have, somehow it's been thrown at me so visibly in the past few months, especially, that I can't avoid, and it's there. But I think at the bottom of it, it comes to our own work. I find there are a lot of yoga teachers or women's circle space holders or retreat organizers, all of these things that basically I'm doing. And really the only reason why I'm doing it all is because when I used to start with just teaching yoga, I didn't feel fulfilled, because it wasn't just physical movement that helped me. It was a combination of it all. So when I try to bring all of these things together, and all of these people that are maybe doing one or both or all of it as well, I feel like it all starts from our own work. If I don't work on my hidden grief, I will not really truly be able to help other people. And it's easy to post a quote on Instagram and seem like a very wisdom, my life is great sort of person. But when it comes to it, it's all about our own inner work. So I think that a lot of people in the industry that I'm in are rushing. I think we're just rushing too much, rushing to go with the trends. Last year it was surf yoga, this year it's cacao, next year it's something else, and everybody's just rushing to catch up with the trends of providing the spaces that are just trendy, or rushing in having beautiful photos on Instagram, or rushing in providing women's circles mainly because of the trend or because of the need for finance and money and support of ourselves. And I think this is where, if they got to learn about hidden grief, they would be able to start their own work, and they would look at every person they meet. They would look at every event and class and casual gathering that they organize or are even a part of from such a different light. From like, I'm going through stuff, and I know you're going through stuff too. So let's support that. Let's just be there for each other. And that doesn't mean, having this super strict, serious conversation of now we have to cry and journal and everything's bad and this is just how inner work looks like. It's just that intention, the intention that we're coming into the space with. So my intention is from the heart. I'm loving, I'm supportive, and I just want you to have that. Yeah. Rather than my intention of, this is the trend and now I need to make money and now this and this and this. And I think that the work that you do, educating people about this, is making such a huge impact on the individual learning about it, but also on all of the other individuals that they're going to come across, just because of the awareness, because really that's all it is, just learning about ourselves, about something different, and building that awareness within. Yeah, let's try to not talk for another 2 hours on that.
Okay, thank you for that. No, I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. It is about us doing our own personal work first so that we can recognize it in others and really hold that space for them. And it is very easy. I mean, I see this in the coaching industry. I see it with mental health clinicians and healers. We do want to earn a living. So we do jump on the things that, okay, that everybody wants this, everybody's looking for this. And we lose who we are in that process too. That goes back again to those layers, right? We're putting on this costume and this costume and this costume. And then it's like, well, what authentically do you desire to put out into the world and bring? And, even we as a community of leaders can have our own tribe to help us heal in the things that are coming up as we work with our clients. Because ultimately, you may hear stuff in your circle that you go, ooh, that triggered something in me. I still need to do that work. And you know how to do that work, but there are some out there who don't. They think it's just like a journal and cry and let's feel, and they don't realize there's so many different levels to hidden grief work that also involve laughter, that also involve, nostalgia and sitting with this feeling. And I mean, I could speak for 2 hours on this. That's something that I think it's a good reminder for all of us, not just when working with our clients, but for ourselves as well. So thank you for that. Now, if somebody wanted to come, say they're here in Munich and they want to be a part of your tribe or attend one of your classes, how do they find you? And if they wanted to work with you somehow online, how do they find you?
Well, now that my website is finally up and live and rebranded, that is definitely the page to look at. And I can actually feel so proud about that, because you just mentioned about our own inner work as space holders. It took me like over a year to do this with somebody doing it for me professionally, just because I faced so many blockages of like, I'm not good enough to do this. Who do I think I am to have my own website? And why do I even think of doing this and that? So I'm really proud to actually be like, no, this is good. And my website is probably the best place, just because now it fully explains everything I mentioned today. And it's okay to come into our community, even if you're just looking for a yoga class. And I mean just, because it's not ever just a yoga class. There's always more happening in the body on a level that maybe we're not even aware of. So you can have a look and search and feel into what feels right for you. Whether you're looking for, okay, right, I'm at this moment where I just need to physically move, coming to a yoga class, or I need to meet other women who are also safe and wanting to create this space. So I'll come to a women's circle, or I'll need more time off for myself, so I'll come to a retreat. And all of these things you can really read a little bit more in depth about on my website. And maybe you can tell already by even listening to this, hearing me talk, I do love the talk. So sending me a message, email, Instagram, or just grabbing me for a coffee, that's really it, because this is all that I'm about, is just to community build, to meet other people. And if you feel like you need to have a little chat with me first, because going into a group can be scary sometimes too, and just work with me, or just to have a normal casual chat, nothing to do with work, just a normal chat, like really message me. I love tea, I love chatting, and I can go on for hours.
Yes, and I think that's a beautiful thing when somebody really invites you in as a healer, as an instructor, as a teacher, and says, you can message me, I will message back. Do it. Don't be afraid to. I think often we go like, oh, I don't know. Like, no, Paulina won't be salesy with you. She'll really want to connect. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about you as a person, is you're like, okay, and here's what I offer. But if it's not for you, it's great to get to know you. And I think that's a big gift that you bring as well to your work. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, last question I ask everyone, and I know you know this. What is the funniest experience you've had doing the work that you do?
Funniest experience that I've had doing the work that I do? I really don't know. Oh, I had this in my mind before and now it's just slipped out. A few things come to me, but I'm not really sure if they're funny or if they're just like, oh, a little giggle. Well, a lot of things can happen in a yoga class. And there are certain things that happen in a yoga class that are a little bit funny. Either somebody burping by accident because they're just opening up their, or farting by accident, or by accident. I know it's never done on purpose. And those are things that always are a little bit funny. I know that we can look at it from like, oh, how can this happen? And that's very weird. But we just either ignore it like it doesn't happen, or everybody just laughs, and it's just like, what, this is normal, this is what we're doing, we're working with a physical body and it's going to release what it needs to release.
Right, that's the key, right? The whole with yoga, you're releasing tension. Well, there you go.
There we go, it's just coming out. And another funny thing is, I'm not really sure if it's funny, because again, I'm not really sure if that's the word to look for it, but when I'm holding spaces, very often I feel like where I am, right, the host. So I am trying to keep everyone on topic or organize the theme. And sometimes these spaces are just so full of love and support that I cry with everybody. I cry, I scream, I do what everybody else needs to do. And if somebody's crying, and I'm going to start crying. And on one way, I feel like I shouldn't, because, you know, I need to be the person there and holding the space. But on the other side, and that's what I mean, I don't know if it's funny or not, it always makes me laugh a little bit afterwards, because it's just like this super gentle and cute reminder to myself that I'm human. You know, I'm not somebody that's got it figured out. I maybe know an extra practice than you know, and I'm just wanting to share that with you. But when every single space that I hold and every single yoga class that I teach, I get something back from it too. And it's such a humble reminder, and also like for other people to know this, you know, I cry and I'm going to cry with you. And if something you say is triggering me, I'm going to be like, okay, let me take a few breaths, because what you just said touched something in me, and I need to see where I'm at right now, because I'm just human and I'm going through the same work, and this is only the reason why I'm sharing all of this. So it's funny in the sense that it's just these little cute reminders that I'm not perfect. I never will be, and I don't even think it's something I'm thriving for. I like to be the human that I am. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I think that's what we all need to strive to be. It's just the human that we are, not what we think everybody wants us to be. So thank you again for being on my show and talking about hidden grief in a variety of ways, not only personally, but also professionally, what you're seeing. If you're watching this and you'd like to learn more about hidden grief, I encourage you to go to my website, katieressler.com, and click on certification to learn about the Legacy Growth Certification Program. I teach you how to work with your clients' hidden grief, no matter what work or specific field or niche you are in order to use their grief as their greatest tool for growth. Thank you again, Paulina, and I will see you all next week.